Hi, everyone. Welcome to this very important webinar today titled Scholarship Hunt, Women Breaking Barriers. I'm Zainab Umar Abdullahi, and I'm a veterinary science PhD student at the University of Melbourne in Australia, and I'm going to be the moderator for today's webinar. I consider this webinar very important one, just like every other webinar from Gamji Forum. But particularly, I'm excited about this one because of today's theme and the people that we are able to bring on board, whom you would all hear from them in a couple of minutes. Um, and I hope that we have very good takeaways from take-home messages from today's webinar. Today is all about women, and we are very excited when women, especially Northern women, break barriers. And it's my pleasure also to introduce our host for today, who will be the one to give the welcome remark to open this webinar for today. And that is Dr. Mariam Abdullahi Musa. She has quite a very vast profile, but I'll try my best to to summarize it. So Dr. Mariam Abdullahi Musa is an academic and a researcher in computer sciences who is currently serving as a lecturer one in the Department of Computer Sciences, Faculty of Science, Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University, ATBU Bauchi in Nigeria. She holds a PhD in computer sciences as well as an MSc in computer sciences as well, and BTech in computer sciences. This complements multiple professional certifications that she has in IT service management, transfer learning, and programming. Over the course of her career, Dr. Mariam has gained extensive expertise and experience in teaching, supervision, and administrative experience as well. She has served as postgraduate seminar coordinator as well as many other academic roles. And her research interest cut across cybersecurity, machine learning, cloud computing, and she has quite numerous publications in reputable international journals and conference proceedings. Beyond academia, Dr. Mariam is committed to community service as she is actively involved in organizations such as the Federation of Muslim Women's Association of Nigeria, She Tech for Africa Initiative, and from her academic journey, she has been awarded several scholarships, including the NCSG OVIA Scholarship, PTDF Scholarship, and multiple federal government scholarships. Through her teaching, research, and community engagement, Dr. Mariam continues to inspire uh, women's participation in technology and contribute to building a resilient and knowledge-driven society. Above all, Dr. Mariam is married and a mother of five. Welcome, Dr. Mariam. My assumption is she is here with us. Is she, Dr. Bahari? Is Dr. Mariam here? Who is going to give the welcome remarks?
Hello, I am Dr. Mariam Abdullahi Musa. I am here.
Welcome, and now the microphone is all yours.
Thank you. According to UNESCO, women make up nearly half of the world's population, yet millions are still denied equal access to quality education and opportunities. Imagine how much potential, brilliance, and innovation the world misses out when barriers women's dreams. Opportunities don't always come to those who wait. They often come to those who dare to search, to ask, and to believe they are deserving. Good evening, our moderator, Zainab Umar Abdullahi, our special guest in person of Professor Aishatu Umar Maigari, the Honorable Commissioner of Education, Gombe State, our keynote speaker, Professor Aisha Ali-Gombe, a professor of computer science and engineering at the Louisiana State University, USA, our distinguished panelist, Dr. Ruqayyah Sani, an assistant professor at the Penn State University, at the Penn State Harrisburg, USA, Surayya Mustapha, a PhD candidate in molecular biology at the Chinese Academy of Sciences, China, Khadijah Ibrahim Suleiman, candidate on energy process engineering at Duisburg-Essen University, Germany. Our great participants, we welcome you all to this inspiring webinar on scholarship hunt, women breaking barriers. Gamji Educational and Mentorship Forum is aimed at mentoring our younger generation for a brighter future so that together we can all rise. We empower individuals through access and personal development opportunities to build a supportive community where knowledge, skills, and experiences will be shared, and to nurture future leaders by fostering critical thinking, creativity, and innovation. Gamji Memorial and Mentorship Forum is aimed at providing guidance and bridges the gap between academic and real-world applications. Today's theme goes beyond scholarships. It is about resilience, about courage, access, empowerment, possibility, and about rewriting the narrative that says certain spaces are not meant for us, we women. Scholarships are not just financial aid. They are keys that unlock doors, pathways that connect us to opportunities, and platforms that allow women to rise, to lead, and transform communities. For so long, women across the world have faced barriers, be it cultural, financial obstacles that try to confine our potential. Yet, history keeps reminding us of one truth. When women rise, communities rise. And when women are given opportunities, they do not just succeed, they multiply success. Accordingly, today we will be guided by voices of experience, people who have walked this journey and secured opportunities against the odds. They will share with us not only how we must keep searching, why we must never stop learning, and why breaking barriers as women is a collective victory and not just an individual one. We plead with our invited speakers to promote continuous education through webinars, resources, workshops, and etc. To also connect participants with experienced mentors for career, academic, and personal achievement. Also networking opportunities for collaboration and knowledge, and then encourage innovation by inspiring participants to real life challenges, and then promote lifelong learning by fostering a culture, learning and growth which lingers or may linger forever. So I encourage all of us to listen with open hearts, take notes with eager minds, and engage actively. Ask your questions and let's learn together. Share your perspectives and see yourself in the success stories you'll hear today. Once again, welcome to this gathering of barrier breakers and dream chasers. I am truly honored to host you today, and I cannot wait for the conversations and inspiration ahead. At this point, I hand the session over to the moderator in person of Zainab Umar Abdullahi. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mariam. That was really a great one. Thanks for the words of encouragement. And thanks to for motivating the audience that yes, someday this same audience joining today will be invited to come and speak to us about their success stories. We are hopeful. Gamji Forum has quite a number of mentors and mentees. I am very proud to mention that before I started my PhD in the University of Melbourne, I used to be a mentee in this same Gamji Forum. And today it's a pleasure that I'm giving back a little bit of what I can. Um, Thank you, Dr. Mariam. That was really interesting. Um, the special guest for today, as you must have seen on the flyer, is Professor Aishatu Umar Maigari, who is the current Commissioner of Education, Gombe State, whose talk is titled Empowering Northern Nigerian Women Through Education and Global Opportunities. Another talk that we're going to have after hers is from Professor Aisha Ali-Gombe, whose talk is titled Women Thriving in Diverse Contexts. Very interesting topic, so stick around. And apart from that, we also have panel discussion, which the theme I've mentioned earlier is Scholarship Hunt, Women Breaking Borders. So now for the commissioner, that's Professor Aisha Umar Maigari, the Honorable Commissioner of Education for Gombe State, brings a wealth of experience and a remarkable track record in education and public service, making her an inspiring figure for this significant event. Professor Aisha Maigari's distinguished career spans various high-profile roles, including her prior position as the Honorable Commissioner of Science, Technology and Innovation for Gombe State, and her current academic role as an Associate Professor of Analytical Chemistry at the Federal University, Kashere. She also serves as an Adjunct Professor of Chemistry at Northeastern University, Gombe, and has risen through academia with over 35 research publications in reputable journals. As a fellow of the Chemical Society of Nigeria and a member of the Institute of Chartered Chemists of Nigeria, Professor Aisha's contributions extend beyond education into advocacy for rural youth and female empowerment. Her involvement as a focal person for UNICEF's program has supported hundreds of rural girls to pursue teaching, fostering educational opportunities for the underprivileged communities. In her role as special guest, Professor Aisha will share her insights on empowering Northern Nigerian women through education and global opportunities. Her presence is not only a celebration of past achievements, but a powerful inspiration for future generation of women leaders. Thank you very much, Professor Aisha, for taking your time to be here with us. And now the mic is all yours.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. I'm sorry for not acknowledging my presence, but one of the hallmarks of our administration is punctuality. We are always at events a few minutes before the time. So good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity given to me to share my little experience. And I was shocked when you read my biography. I don't know where you got it from, but that was good. So my topic for today is empowering Northern Nigerian women through through education and global opportunities. The topic is apt because education and opportunities are powerful tools to promote gender equality, economic growth, and social development and inclusion. I will start by asking us, who is a Northern Nigerian woman? Is she different from other women from other sections of the country, or is she special, that she's given a special place? And what makes her a really true Northern Nigerian woman? As Nigerian women, we start by being daughters, then we move on to becoming sisters, then we move on to becoming wives, and we move on to becoming mothers, grandmothers, and so on. That is the basic role of a Northern Nigerian woman. But time changes, and then the Northern Nigerian woman now evolved into a career woman, a professional in her own capacity, because as the last speaker has said, because of our resilience, because of our patience, because of our perseverance, we thrive wherever we find ourselves. So the typical Nigerian woman is an integral part of the household, economies, and communities. And she is now balancing traditional roles with increasing participation in modern day careers, businesses, and leadership. And we have different experiences. We have the rural women, we have the semi-urban women, we have the urban women, we have the educated, we have the semi-educated, and we have the uneducated, depending on where we find ourselves. What does women's empowerment mean in the word of empowerment? Is it increased degree of autonomy and self-determination? Or is it a representation of our interest as women in a responsible and self-determined way? I'm using the word responsible and self-determined way. Then is it acting on their own authority as women in the context of religion and society? Or is it enhancement of women's ability and others? These all define what a women's empowerment is. Luckily for us in the North, women's voice has always been heard right from the word go. If you take it from the religious point of view, Muslim women have been given a voice right from the word go. Even in the Christian religion, women have been given voices. So as a Northern woman, our voices have been heard right from inception. It's maybe because of some changing roles and societal determination that the woman should be in the background that removed those voices from us. Now, we're talking about education. I do not have, all of us here are educated, and we all know what education does. Simple definition of education, we all know it. We all know what learning is: change in behavior, positive change in behavior. And what are the benefits of education and scholarships? I'm taking it from the rare. I'm starting from what the benefits are before I discuss the others. For education and scholarship gives us increased opportunities as women. All the women that are here today as panelists, as the guest speakers, as the guest lecturers, as the hosts, are all educated and have had increased opportunities more than those who have not been educated. Education can come in different ways. It can come whether from the Quranic and Islamic schools, it can come from the Sangaya, from a non-formal or an informal setting, and then the Western education that is the formal setting. So increased opportunities comes from education and being educated, and scholarships provide women with access to education and training. Of the people that we are going to discuss today, they are laudable CVs, but they all come from being educated. It does not just fall from the sky. And then one challenge of why people, especially in the North, are not educated is because of the cycles of poverty. Poverty and increased insurgencies have denied most of our women education. So education and scholarships can help women break free from cycles of poverty and increase their socioeconomic status. The Northern women have been known to be very entrepreneurial, but due to circumstances, that entrepreneurial aspect has been diminishing and declining. But when you empower a Northern Nigerian woman with both education and skills and entrepreneurship, she flourishes and breaks the cycle of poverty, which shows that for each level of education a woman goes, it increases the income of her family by 20%. As I said, education can come in different perspective. And then education empowers a woman to be confident and have self-esteem. Yes, education empowers women with knowledge. And when you are knowledgeable, you have skills. And when you have skills, you have confidence. And when you have confidence, it enhances your self esteem and self worth. And then you find out that you are breaking barriers, going beyond boundaries, and making sure that you excel in whatever you do. And then if you are also educated, you get to have leadership roles and participation in policy making, in governance, even in day-to-day activities. You find that you make decisive decisions pertaining your health, your children, and so on and so forth. So education and scholarship for the Nigerian northern woman cannot be underestimated, and it cannot be undermined. And then government has been making deliberate policies to make sure that women are given more leadership roles, both being nominated, being appointed, or being elected, even though it is not as much as we want it, but the few that are given are making so much impact that we find out that they are impacting our societies, and then they are becoming role models and making communities aware that girls can do it. Nigerian northern women can do it. How do we achieve these benefits? Because whatever the benefits we see, we need ways to achieve them. The number one is mentorship and support. I love mentorship. I love mentoring. Mentoring can come in different forms. Saying a good and nice word to your sister is mentoring. Just tell her you can do it, like we are doing today. You find out that many girls will now be inspired to do it because we have treaded that path with different experiences, some difficult experiences, some not so difficult experiences, but we have made it. And if we can make it, they can also make it. And then support. We need to support each other, especially as women. How do we support each other? Support also comes in different ways. The kind of support I may give is just open up my house for anybody who is going to school to drop her kids, because if she doesn't know where to drop her kids, she may not go to that school. And she's confident that when she brings her child to my house, she's confident. It can be my neighbor, it can be my friends, it can be my students. We have seen a lot of women biking children of their students when they are writing exams or in classes. That is another kind of support. Because with this support, we can now help women navigate both academic and professional challenges. It gives us a sense of belonging. It gives us a sense of inclusion. So mentorship and support should not be undermined. And no matter the little support you give a girl or a woman, know that you are impacting a whole generation of people, not even one. Because when you help a woman, you help a whole community. Then the scholarship programs, which is the focal point for today, is another part of it. Scholarship comes in different forms, but today we are looking at global opportunities. For those of us that are outside and really want to go outside and read, like personally me, I'm ingrown, I like Nigeria. So I've stayed all my life in Nigeria to study, but scholarship programs, you identify the kind of scholarship. Somebody just wants to go to Gombe State University but cannot afford it. What kind of scholarship am I going to get for her? What access to scholarship do I have? Somebody wants to go to Germany. Another one wants to go to UK, depending on your family or depending on what you do with your husband, and so on and so forth. You identify the kind of scholarship that suits you and your family, because as I've earlier said, the northern Nigerian woman is the foundation of her family. Career apart, she's a mother and she's a wife, she's a daughter, she's a sister. So that leverage, God-given role cannot be denied. So whatever we are going to do, we should give her the moral and physical and emotional support so that she succeeds and thrives wherever she goes. So for scholarship programs for Northern Nigerian girls, we need to identify, connect, and link these scholarship programs specifically targeted at women, especially in underrepresented groups and fields of study, through this kind of workshops and access to resources. So as I've said, there are so many scholarships. Like now I'm working on 50 girls for the Northeast Development Commission from Gombe State to go to just Federal University Kashiri. If not because of that, some of them might not be able to go there. And being there will give them the global opportunities, because when they excel, they cannot get opportunities elsewhere, depending on what they want and how they want it done. Then Another way is to access to quality, ensure access to quality education and promote women's participation. What does access mean? From a government point of view, access is having education at the doorstep of each and every child, especially a girl. There are so many government policies, like now there is the Agile project, which is Adolescent Girl Initiative for Learning and Empowerment. I'm sure many of you have heard it, and it's targeted at the 19 northern states, and then not allowing us to stay at home. We are going not to be subservient to our husbands and so on. I'm sure all of us that are here are married, and our husbands are the heads of our families. We are not doing anything outside the context of religion and the northern culture. So access to quality education makes sure that all girls go to school and they get quality and functional education. They get the skills that they are needed to thrive in whatever society they find themselves. There are some skills right from primary 1 up to secondary school, up to university level, that each and every student needs to have for him to succeed wherever he or she finds herself. Now, one of the challenges to access to quality education is the Almajiri and out of school child syndrome. I just came back yesterday from a workshop on that, and I trust me, most of these out of school children are girls. We see them going to farms, we see them hawking during school hours, we see them just being used as house helps and laborers, and then that diminishes their self-esteem, their self-worth, and so on and so forth, and increases the vulnerability of the North. If you and I are in higher places and we leave these girls behind, trust me, it is not going to augur well for us in the next few decades, because we are sitting on a time bomb. So as one of my takeaways from this is, Gamji Forum, please look at the issue of Almajiri and out of school children. The government is doing its own, but we cannot do it alone. We need people like you. We need foundations like you and forums like this. Those of us in the academia, see what we can do. We know the gaps. How do we address access to quality and making sure that each girl goes to school and gets access to quality and functional education? And then another way of achieving that is identifying and addressing the barriers. Some of them is not poverty. Some of them is just the misconception that Western education is bad or whatever and so on. And then how do we look at that as a barrier? What are the barriers, such as the poverty, the cultural norms, and lack of infrastructure? Infrastructure is not as much as important as poverty and cultural norms, because if you do not allow them, convince them to even go to school, you find it difficult, even if there are infrastructure for them to go to school. I'm sure all of us are from the North, and we know how these are affecting our girls not going to school and not being having the opportunity to unlock their potentials and being identifying themselves what they want. And even if there are the opportunities, we will not find these girls to give them these opportunities as we have now. So it's still on the honors of all of us to see how we can identify these barriers and then address them, because if we don't do that, we will not have girls in schools. We will not have girls going to school. We will not have girls, even the scholarships are there, we will not have girls who are really qualified to enjoy those scholarships. Now, when you have an educated and empowered northern woman, what is the impact on northern Nigeria? Number one, you have an empowered northern Nigeria. Because when you educate a woman, you educate a nation. So when you educate the women in northern Nigeria, you have educated them and empowered them so that they can be able to contribute better to their communities, to the economies of the Northeast, and to their society at large. Not to talk of their families, their immediate family, their extended family, and so on and so forth. Because an educated girl is up to the level of, let's assume, a PhD holder, professor if she's in the academia, or somebody who has her own business entrepreneurship or skills that she's impacting on people. She's an employer of labor. You find out that she is still an ambassador of the North, and we know the core values of the North. And if she keeps to those core values, well, I tell you, the sky is just the starting point for her, because she will be a very good person that will be a role model and a mentor to other girls in the communities. Break it to challenge it. We need to break them and make sure now. When we empower women through education and scholarships, we can unlock great potentials, thereby creating a more just, equitable, and prosperous northern Nigeria for all of us to thrive. Thank you for this opportunity, because if you give me time, I will talk for the whole day. But on the last but not least, I wish all of us can adopt girls that we can say we have adopted personally and officially. I have mentored 500 girls on that program, UNICEF program, and unofficially I have said one good word or the other to a girl. I may have gingered her to move on, because somebody just called me a few weeks ago and said, you told me not to waste my time. Today I'm a deputy director in a very thriving Nigerian thing. So she said, thank you for mentoring me. So I didn't mentor her, but I just said, don't waste your time, go to school, do your best. So as Nigerian women, especially in the schools, in the academia, we move on and we see these girls every single days of our lives. We see them and we cannot deny them. We cannot close our eyes to saying that we need to help them. So whatever way of helping them, please let us help them, so that at least we know that we have done something, our own part, to make the northern Nigerian women great. Like we have the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, is the northern Nigerian woman in the person of Amina J. Mohammed. We have had all the ministers of education. We have the female ones are women, and they are northern Nigerians. 3 of them. We have Professor Ruqayyah, we have Right Honorable Aishatu, and we have now Professor Suleiman. And they are all females, and they are all from the core north. So what stops us from allowing others to go to that level? So thank you for the opportunity. I hope I have impacted, even if it is just one person, with what I have said. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Aisha, the Commissioner of Education for Gombe State, for this very powerful insights. You are definitely the right person to invite for this topic, empowering Northern Nigerian women through education and global opportunities. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here with us. And your presence today is even another, testimonial that, being a commissioner here in our midst, as well as Professor Aisha Ali-Gombe and all other members that will be part of our panel discussion later, is a testament that there is strength and resilience in Northern Nigerian women. Thank you very much for that. And now our next presentation, like I mentioned, is going to be back to back. Is from Professor Aisha Ali-Gombe, who is going to talk to us about women thriving in diverse contexts. But I would also like to use some few minutes to summarize the biography of Professor Aisha Ali-Gombe. I will encourage all participants to find time to read more about Professor Aisha Ali-Gombe, because I want to admit that it's very difficult. It's very difficult to say little about someone who has so much contribution in her field. So I encourage you all to find her bio and read more about her, as well as her publications and people she has mentored and where they are at the moment. But just for the sake of this webinar, Professor Aisha Ali-Gombe is an associate professor at the Computer Science and Engineering Division, Louisiana State University in the US. Pardon me for my pronunciation. She earned her PhD in Engineering and Applied Sciences with a major in Computer Sciences and a concentration in Information Assurance from the University of New Orleans in 2017, following a master's degree in Computer Sciences in 2012. She also holds an MBA from Bayero University, Kano, and a BSc from the University of Abuja in Nigeria in 2005. She was also a recipient of the Total Final Undergraduate Merit Scholarship in 2002. Dr. Aisha Ali-Gombe is currently the director of the LSU Cybersecurity Clinic and the founder of the System Security Lab. She also holds a joint faculty position at LSU's Center for Computation and Technology. Her expertise and research interests are in cybersecurity and digital forensics, focusing on mobile and IoT platforms. Dr. Aisha Ali-Gombe's research involves solving applied cybersecurity problems such as malware and threat detection, cybercrime investigation, privacy policy enforcement, access control, and intrusion detection. Wow. She has authored and co-authored more than 30 publications, which I encourage you to find out those and read them, some of which have been featured in top-rated cybersecurity journals and conferences, such as NDSS, ACSAC, WISEC, and Journal of Computer and Security, among many others. She has won Best Paper Award as a top-tier digital forensics conference in the US in 2021 and 2022, and an outstanding poster award at CODASPI 2016. Since beginning her tenure, she has mentored 6 doctorate students, 2 of whom have graduated and are now assistant professors. What a remarkable achievement. She has also mentored 3 master's students and more than 15 undergraduates, some of whom are currently working for Dell, Capital One, and MITRE. I don't know if that's the pronunciation. That's the pronunciation. I welcome you to this webinar, Professor Aisha, and thank you very much for finding the opportunity to be here with us to share from your valuable knowledge. Thank you very much, Professor Aisha, for being part of this very important webinar. And now the floor is yours, and the mic as well is also fully yours.
All right. Thank you very much. Can you hear me very well?
We can.
Okay, and can you see my full screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, sounds good. All right. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I want to start by thanking the organizers of this event, Gamji Mentorship, for inviting me. And I also want to thank you, Zainab, for that great introduction, great and kind introduction, actually. Like Aisha, I don't know why you got my resume, but thank you for that introduction. I would also want to acknowledge the remarks made by Dr. Mariam, as well as Professor Aisha. I think they're very both interesting as well as very impactful. Thank you. So it is an absolute honor and privilege to present this keynote titled Women Thriving in Diverse Contexts. And this is a topic that is very exciting to me and I'm very passionate about. Given that as we women, just like Professor Aisha mentioned, women in Arewa and beyond continue to embrace education and pursue different careers. We often find ourselves sometimes in new and complex environments. And this environment are often different from our own and sometimes outright harsh for our realities. But you see, when we make up our minds, we're women on a mission and we have to succeed. And thus today's keynote, I would like to share with you some of my personal stories and reflections. And I hope that we will drive some lessons from it on how to thrive in diverse contexts. So I want to start with some really interesting story. Let me see. All right. All right. So for those of you that have watched Eddie Murphy's Coming to America, this was a movie that was premiered when I was in primary school. That was sometimes in the late 80s. It was a very hilarious, witty, over-the-top, unforgettable kind of, comedy movie. For me at the time, this was really just a comedy and nothing more. I never imagined in my wildest dream, decades later, that I will experience a version of my own Coming to America. Except that my version, unlike Eddie Murphy's, has no royal entourage, no palaces, and definitely there are no barbershop full of comedians. If you watch that movie, you'll remember that scene is one of the most iconic scenes. I will say that my versions was far less glamorous than Eddie Murphy's, but much more awkward. So let me take you through Aisha's day one in America. Okay, so I arrived in the US in a hot and humid summer of 2011. This was like 22 years after that movie. I landed in the Crescent City, the city of New Orleans at the time as a graduate student. Now, by the way, at that time, I could not even pinpoint New Orleans on the map. It was Ramadan. Precisely, I remember arriving on the 20th day of Ramadan after about 24 hours of traveling and layover and whatnot. Now, I arrived at that city knowing no one. I have nobody. The only thing I have was one phone number, one address, and one name. And this is the name of the local imam of a masjid that I will be renting an apartment in. And so I was told that when you go to the airport, when you arrive at the airport, you can ask anyone to help you make a local call, and you can call this number because local calls are free. So I arrived around 5 p.m. and then, I took a taxi. Unfortunately for me, the taxi guy was also a new person in town. So the drive that was supposed to take us only about 30 minutes, we ended up spending more than 3 hours going round and round and round the city. And we're trying to call the imam. He wasn't picking up his call. Apparently, he was teaching at the time. So it was later when we kind of arguing with the driver because I asked him to take me back to the airport. And then, the imam called and he gave us another description and then we're able to get to the accommodation. Mind you, in 2011, our phones weren't smart. So voice calls were not a thing. With the exception of, a little bit of Skype, maybe. In addition to that, GPS were not big thing then. Most cars don't have GPS. And so, that's kind of really what happened with like all that 3 hours drive. But that was really not the fun part. I was kind of digressing here. So I got to my accommodation and I got the assistant imam who was a very nice person. And, he was also studying in my school. He offered to take me to the school the next day. So, after that night in the morning, I got ready around 7 and, met him outside and, he was supposed to show me how to take the bus. But in my head, it was like, okay, it's just taking the bus. I mean, I just arrived from Nigeria, flying all over the world. And like, what's there in taking the bus? Beside, like I went to University of Abuja and I was, used to take Gombe line from Gombe to Abuja. I've done that multiple times of, taking public transport all over Nigeria. I have, taken luxurious bus from the north to the south. In Abuja, I've taken buses from, Bega Junction to Gwagwalada, from Area 1 to Gwagwalada. I mean, I've done all sort of things. So like, what's there in taking a bus? But I was like, okay, fine, let's go. So we went, he was kind of showing me things, but honestly, my brain was just excited more about going to school just to see my college and, getting into my classes. So we went and, everybody went his way. I started my classes that day and, spent the whole day at school and I finished my last class around 7:30. Look at the schedule he gave me and it was there was a bus around that time. So I was hurried to the bus stop. When I get to the bus stop, I saw one bus there and I run into the bus. The driver looked at me. He immediately smelled that I was new. I looked new. And he said, where are you going to, lady? I said, I was going to downtown. He said, no, this is not your bus. For a minute, I was like, how can you tell me this is not my bus? This is the exact bus I took in the morning. Like, why are you telling me this? And so I started walking backwards just to verify for myself the bus number. And then, yeah, it happened. Literally, I fell off the bus, like all the way to the floor. And so people around, helped me up. And then the bus driver told me to go to the bus behind me. That's my right bus. So I went there and, we went in. This next bus driver was kind of in a hurry and asked everybody to sit down so he can kind of start moving. We can pay later. So I sat down. Again, remember, this is not my real first day. And today is the 21st day of Ramadan and I'm fasting. And I've been at school since 7, this was like the first time I was experiencing a very long Ramadan, by the way. Fajr starts at 4, and then iftar is not until 9:30, and it's already like around 8 p.m. So I sat down for a while, and then when I saw everybody going to the front to pay, I took my wallet, went to the front, and brought out my $100 crispy, beautiful new $100 bill out of my entire $800 living expenses, and I gave it to the bus driver. And the bus driver looked at me and said, "No, we don't accept cash, and certainly we don't accept a $100 bill." I was like, "You can just give me change." He said, "No, we don't do that. You can only pay with $20, and the machine gives you your changing card." Now I'm frustrated. I am tired. I'm jet lagged. I'm hungry. I'm sleepy, and I cannot even pay my bus fare. And so I went back to the seat for a little while thinking, okay, I will just drop off at the next bus stop and then maybe walk back to school because it wasn't really too far. And then figure out what to do because I can't allow myself to stay until dark, like, in this place that I barely even know. So I get off the bus at the bus stop and was kind of deciding what to do next. The bus driver just left, and it just dawned upon me that I left my wallet with everything I have in the bus. And so like a movie, and I can remember this vividly. This was, again, just my first day. I can still remember like exactly like the clothes I was wearing, what I was doing. I just jumped in the middle of the street, flagged the next car coming. I was lucky it was a young lady. I just opened the car, the passenger seat, went into the car, and just asked her, "Please, can you chase the bus driver?" And so she obliged. We chased the bus driver. We met him at the next bus stop. I went out, rushed into the bus. I was puffing, and he looked at me and bursted into laughter and said, "Any problem, lady?" I said, "Yes, I left something." He said, "What is it? What is it?" I said, "My wallet." "What color?" "Black and green." He just asked me, "Okay, come on in." Somebody gave it to me. So that's how he showed me again how to ride the bus. So this was my first day in a new land that I have never been before, experiencing something that was not my norm. So that day taught me something very, very important. Even though I have traveled wide to many places, I have lived in Nigeria in many places, but that day taught me that new is hard. Adjusting is hard. And the fear of being in a new place with new rules and no safety net is real. And in those moments of anxiety and apprehension, errors and mistakes will happen. And if there is anyone today going through that, going into a new place and having that anxiety and those apprehension and that just kind of that uncertainty, just know that your feelings, your anxiety is real and legit. See, I fell off the bus and almost lost all of my living expenses, not because I was dumb or weak. It was because I was new. And so this was a lesson I carried with me to today, that failure is not the end of the story. It is part of the process. And so this kind of leads me into some of the lessons that I wanted to kind of, talk about in this keynote. The first lesson is the lesson of failure. You see, sometimes you will fail on your way to thriving. Life will throw you off the bus before you're ready. You will stumble after multiple times before you can stride. But just remember that your journey doesn't stop because you missed one bus. You'll learn to catch the next bus, the next one, and the next one. And you'll learn to run when need be. And you'll learn to persevere. And this perseverance can turn the lessons you learn from failure into survival. You see, I always think about survival as much more than endurance. It's much more than going through one really bad, hectic day. Survival to me is holding on to your purpose, what you believe, your vision. Even on days that you feel like crap, even on days that you feel like failure. Survival means telling yourself to stay on track, to keep moving because there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And for me, always thinking about that made the light became my mantra. Survival is also means putting on the hard work. You see, when I graduated from University of Abuja, I didn't go into grad school right away. And so by the time I decide to do a career shift and go into grad school, everything was new. Like, if you're in computer science, you understand how just fast and evolving this field is, where like there are new programming languages, new frameworks, new domain, everything was new. So I had to do a serious catch up, which means I had to work harder and even go above and beyond to turn that survival into momentum. And so here's the lesson that I want you to take away. Lesson number 2, which is survival meant refusing to shrink. Survival means holding on to your purpose with persistence and tenacity, no matter how lonely and scary the path may be. Now, let me take you through lesson number 3. You see, as students that will find yourself in new places and women that are navigating unfamiliar spaces, survival is your key, is important, is crucial. In fact, it's going to keep you in check, it's going to keep you from drifting. But for you to succeed in this very complex and competitive world, you must learn to claim your space. You'll soon realize that it is not enough to only study, to research, to write, to experiment, but we must adapt to a culture that values confidence and visibility, a culture that will always demand that you tell your stories, you share your ideas, and you stand in spaces that are not built with you in mind. See, as a Fulani woman who grew up with, shaped by the concept of falaku, this did not come easily. Just the ability to be able to talk in front of people wasn't really my thing. It came through lots of self-doubt, through imposture, through many trials and failure. I remember like when I started master's, because I did my master's completed, then I started a PhD. So when I started my master's and joined a research group, I will always go and sit at the back of everyone. I would just like the back seat. And my supervisor has a habit of always telling everyone to come to the front of the group and present their updates. You see, that was hard for me. Anytime, like at the beginning, whenever, I always kind of like hide him behind. And like when he's called my name, I'm like jumpy. And then, I go out there and like say one or two things. But gradually, I started working hard on my presentation so that like whenever I'm called, I can be able to say exactly with so much clarity what my updates are. But it didn't come easy. It was hard because I rather be in my shell. But over the last 15 years, I've learned to claim my space for my research, for my voice, and for all the women who would come after me. Now, here is another very important truth on some of the lessons that I want you to take away, that none of us is going to rise alone. In fact, I like the fact that Professor Aisha mentioned something about, support, about community. See, failure is going to give you strength. Survival and hard work will give you the tools to excel. Confidence and visibility will give you the space. But what will truly help you to thrive is your tribe. These are your support groups. These are people that are your supervisors, your mentors, your professional community, people close to the work that you're doing, or maybe extensively, even, people that are your role models, or people that, you have some connections with. Now, naturally, people will gravitate towards you when you show that you're capable. See, here, I don't mean that you should be emailing people or chasing people on LinkedIn to be your mentors. No, let your work and your excellence speak for you. Because the right people, your tribe, will see it. They will believe in you when the journey is tough, and they will always remind you that thriving is never a solo journey. And at the top and helm of that tribe and support system, I argue, is always an advocate. You see, advocates are often confused with advisors. But I'll tell you, advocates are not advisors because they don't only just advise us. They amplify us, they lift us. They speak for us when we're not in the room. They will always create opportunities for us where our voices could not be reached. See, I'm very lucky. Like when I started, in my grad school, I was lucky to have my supervisor who turned a mentor, who turned an advocate, but not everybody get to have that supervisor who at the end of the day will be their advocate. But find that one person who truly admire and believe what you do, that can speak your name in places you could not go, and that person will believe in you before you even fully believed in yourself. So I know that we're kind of like out of time. And so as I wrap up this keynote, here are the summary of the lessons my journey has taught me and the lessons I carry with me every day. And I hope that you will carry them as well, or you will reflect upon them. Because in thriving, in all of its diverse contexts, is built upon these very truths that we will fail and we will stumble, but you will learn to persist and you will be dogged and survive. And when you do that, you can stand tall with your convictions, with your own work, with your own excellence, and you'll connect with people around you. And when you do, that is what is called thriving. And when you finally get to that place, you will not just ride alone. You will become the driver who pulls over and say to another woman, "Get in, girl, I got you." So with this, I want to say thank you, and I'm going to give it back to Zainab. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Professor Aisha. I think I was sleepy at the start of this webinar because it's 2 a.m. here in Melbourne, Australia, but now I am fully awake, fully awake. And I think, although I'm a vet scientist, so but well, there is so much to read from your profile, and I encourage everyone to do that. But it's my pleasure, and we are deeply grateful. I'm deeply grateful, and I thank you on behalf of Gamji because I've been reading so many comments from the chat box, thanking you and thanking Professor Aisha, your namesake, for the two presentations. Um, it's really an honor to know that many people feel different after joining this webinar. I've seen someone said he had applied for scholarships in the US 2 or 3 times but couldn't get any admission. But after your story about resilience, now he has the strength to try again. So we've changed somebody's mindset today, and that's really, really huge. Thank you so much, Professor Aisha. I think everyone would agree with me that for both presentations, part of the takeaway messages are resilience. We fail and then we rise again. And I think my only maybe additional contribution to what you've said more than enough. I am already doing my PhD, but I learned so much from what you said, the same with Professor Aisha. But one thing about the search for scholarship, that's because many people are joining us because they have interest to be on that path, is resilience. You need it before you get the scholarship, and you need it to carry along when you get the scholarship. You may apply for 10, but then you just need only a single yes. And with patience and resilience, you will get there. And it's really very interesting to listen to your story, Professor Aisha, about thriving in a new environment. We all have our stories, and I hope that you and Professor Aisha will be invited and you will honor our invitations so that people could listen to many more stories and many more inspirational talks from both of you. Thank you very much. I think now it's time for us to get straight into the panel discussion. And it's also a pleasure to say that today we have representatives from US, China, and Germany, 3 regions. And the people we have in the team are Dr. Ruqayyah Sani, who is our representative to speak on navigating academia in the US. And then we also have Dr. Surayya Mustapha Muhammad, who is representing China, to talk about international research experience over there. And also Dr. Khadijah Ibrahim Suleiman, who is a representative for scholarship journey in Germany. Thank you very much. It's my assumption that all of the members that are going to be in the panel discussion are here with us. Can I confirm that, Dr. Buhari, that they are all with us? Dr. Ruqayyah, Dr. Surayya, and Dr. Khadijah, you may please indicate in the chat box if you're here with us so that we go straight into the panel discussion. Just to inform our audience, we will have a recap, sort of a spotlight talk for 10 more minutes after the panel discussion from the two Professor Aishas. So I would say we should all stick around to listen to them one more time after the panel discussion. Yes. So now that the people from the panel discussion team are all with us, the panel discussion has 6 major areas to touch. The first one is personal journey, and then the second one is strategy and preparation for scholarship applications. And then we have culture and social dynamics, and then networking and mentorship, then sustainability and giving back to the society, and then one golden advice. So I think we can go depending on what you guys, how you guys want it to be, or what's more comfortable for you guys. But the first question I have here on personal journey is, could you briefly share your scholarship journey and the key challenge you had to overcome, especially as a woman? I think Khadijah, Ibrahim, if you're happy and comfortable to answer that question, then we can take it from you.
Good afternoon and good day, everyone. Thank you very much for inviting me to speak in, such an audience. I have really learned a lot from the previous speakers, and it's just an honor to speak. My name is Khadijah Ibrahim Suleiman, and currently I am doing my PhD. So I am not yet a doctor. I am in the process. I am doing my PhD here in Germany, and I will say that in terms of my personal journey, I started my scholarship journey quite at a very early stage, which I would say was during high school. So my high school journey, I got a scholarship from Nigerian International College, which have different branches, but the one which I got a scholarship was in Abuja. So that I did my secondary school, and eventually with that opportunity I was able to get another scholarship to their university, which was Nile University Abuja. So coming from a background, I wouldn't say we were less privileged, we were just average family, but my dad really much believed in education, and that even because he passed away, right after my high school, so that kind of like disrupted my educational journey. But then again, I had this like motivation to keep going because it was something that he had already instilled in me, so that itself gave me the push to go on. And with the fact that I had this experience that okay, if I do well, if I do better, like oh, the opportunity is there, it's kind of like opened doors to more opportunities. So even during my undergraduate, I tried to make sure like to get a first class degree, and that way it also opened another opportunity for me to get another scholarship, which at the time was PTDF. So PTDF is Petroleum Trust Development Fund, which I was able to get scholarship to the UK to do my master's program in petroleum production engineering. And yeah, that was like the door opener for me. And eventually I had this passion because I'm very much into um community service, and I felt that, oh, the right way for me to impact is to, go into the class and teach. So I applied for a lecturing opportunity in Nile University, which is like my alumni, and I eventually started, as an assistant lecturer. And by doing so, I think 2 years into the should I call it tenure or the lectureship, I applied again to do a PhD in energy process engineering. And this is also through PTDF. So I could say like it was an interesting experience to eventually get, two scholarships from the same fund. But in terms of like personal journey, I would say that um, as Professor Aisha Ali-Gombe mentioned, it deals a lot with the support system that you have. Currently, I am here studying. I am married. I have kids. But due to like the program setting, of course, I have to be here before my family is here. I wouldn't have been able to do that if I don't have a support system. So yeah, in terms of like my scholarship journey, I would say that I had a lot of people who have helped me to be where I am at this moment in time. And I wouldn't just say like, oh, it's my logic or my smartness that has brought me here, but the people around me that have helped me to also progress in whatever it is that I intend to put in right now. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks a lot for this contribution. It's still a reflection of what Professor Aisha has said. And it's quite interesting to know that Khadijah is I think her PhD focuses, there's something about her here. Energy, the PhD is in energy process engineering, is that?
Yes, that's right.
And she is a beneficiary of the PTDF scholarship for both her master's and PhD. Is that correct?
Yeah,
That's
that's right.
really, really, really a big deal. Well done, Khadija. Thank you very much for that one. I think we would move on to the next question, which I don't know whom I should throw the question to. It's about strategy and preparation. So the question is, what strategies helped you stand out during your scholarship application? I don't know who among the should I randomly pick or who is happy to answer this question from the panel members? What stood out in your application for the scholarship? Should I just pick Dr. Should I go to Surayya Mustapha, who is a PhD candidate hailing from Kano, Taroni? She has earned her bachelor's degree from Kano University of Science and Technology, Udo, and her master's in biotechnology in India, who is currently doing a PhD in botany, specializing in molecular biology at the Chinese Academy of Sciences, and still lectures at Federal University, Dusai. with the hope that her work contributes to advancing research and education in plant sciences and molecular biology. So, Surayya, do you think you're happy to answer this question on what stood out of your during your application, what really stood out in your search for scholarships?
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Can
we
you hear
can.
me?
We can.
Okay. The Honorable Commissioner,
The voice is a bit
Maigari,
far. If you
and
could,
Prof. Aisha.
if you could speak
Uh,
louder, please.
okay, sorry. Uh, the Honorable Commissioner, can you hear me now clearly? Okay. Prof. Aisha Maigari and Prof. I can't hear you. No.
Dr. Surayya, I think we can hear you from this side. We can actually.
You can hear me from that. Okay, that's right. I just want to say hello to with the Honorable Commissioner Professor Megari and Prof. Aisha Ali-Gombe and the Chief Host and Moderator and also my fellow discussant and participant. Good day to you all. And I'm really honored to be part of this webinar today. Well, actually, during applications of this kind of scholarships, I kind of have to, first of all, whenever I see a scholarship advert, first of all, I used to look at the requirement first, like in terms of maybe like CG, the GPA, if you have publications, if you have working experience, skills, and sometimes it also. So I kind of prepare my documents in such a way that it fits that particular scholarship application. And also in the documents, I also used to like kind of insert my kind of more experience. I have kind of a special skills that I have, and also some strong recommendation letters from my mentors and or from my lecturers also. So I use this kind of tactics in specific applications. I actually did not apply once. I think I applied many times in the not only in China, also in Germany, also in the US, also in the like different part of of the world I applied. But luckily for me, I just was able to secure the one I applied here in China in 2021. And all this also I have kind of support, like whenever I apply and whenever I make applications and it fails, I have a kind of encouragement words from my dad. Like he used to say, Surayya, don't get discouraged, just continue applying. If you're like don't get discouraged. So I think with more support, with encouragement words, and also with dedication and patience, I think you can make it good, and also you can one time you secure the scholarship. So I think with this brief, I think I've answered the question.
Thank you very much. I think the take-home message there is pay attention to the requirements of the scholarship. Is that?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yes,
Yes.
exactly. Pay
Take a
attention
good
to
look
the
at, yep,
mhm. Like what they require,
yep,
and they have like specialized skills and like those kind of key points of the application. You have to focus on that as well.
yep. It's
And
also
whenever
an
you fail,
emphasis
don't
on,
give up.
yep, do not give up. Yes, it's like I had mentioned, it's a journey of resilience and
And
patience. Once you stay
yes,
committed,
exactly.
resilient, and patient, you get there. And then another thing she mentioned as a recap is
Exactly.
ensuring that for any position you are applying, you understand the requirement for the scholarship, because otherwise you would keep saying, "Oh, I have
Exactly.
applied to so many, but I'm not invited for interviews
Like,
or I'm not
and
selected."
I'm not able to interview. Yes, exactly.
Exactly. So first thing first, understand the requirements for the scholarship and make sure you match them before you
Exactly.
apply for those
Yeah.
positions, and then
The
stay
requirement. So even
resilient
overmatch
and have
the
hope.
requirement if it's possible. Yes.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that as well.
Yeah, most welcome. Thank you.
We are very grateful for that. And I think the next I will go to Dr. Ruqayyah then. But before then, I would like to give a brief bio about her. Dr. Ruqayyah is an associate professor of mathematical sciences at Penn State Uni in the US. She is born and raised in Kano, Nigeria, and Ruqayyah studied mathematics at Bayero University, Kano, where she earned her master's in maths and statistics from Jordan University of Science and Technology and completed her PhD at Southern Illinois University. Her research focuses on advancing mathematical sciences with a commitment to fostering global academic collaborations. I have a question, which is part of the panel questions that we have today, and I'm pretty sure Dr. Ruqayyah will give us insight into this question about networking and mentorship. The question here is, what role does mentorship or networking plays in your success, or played maybe in your success? How can you describe the role of networking and mentorship in your journey in the academia at large?
Thank you, Dr. Zainab. Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Salam.
So I it's a kind of broken journey, I would say. I was kind of on my own while seeking my PhD. For my master's, it was kind of it was purely based on academic merit that I was picked to go do my master's. And even while before I was picked, I was in a process of seeking admission overseas, right? But it's very hard for a female, to be done with undergrad and then start seeking admission in other places. So I never really got any kind of I'm a type of person that would sense, as you kids nowadays would say, I would sense vibes. I never got any vibe that, oh, this is a person I can go to kind of seek that. So after my PhD, while I was doing my master's thesis advisor, I felt like I was able to talk to him. This is a middle-aged Arab guy, but you know how those meetings turn into a kind of personal relationship. So I kind of told him that, oh, this is actually what I want to do with my life, because in my personal life and in my academic life, I never had a sense of anyone that I could tell that it wouldn't sound weird that I'm done with masters and I want to go do my PhD. I'm not kind of following the expected process that the society expects from me. So yeah, so that was the first person I confided in. This is what I wanted to do, and the first reaction was positive. So this was my master's thesis advisor, and fortunately, he was a U.S. returnee. He just got back to Jordan after teaching for 11 years in the U.S. So yeah, so what is very interesting about my journey is that when he decided to go back to his home country after spending 11 years in the US, the department needed a new someone to replace him, a statistics professor to replace him. And that person ended up being my PhD advisor. And to tell you, that person, I I have a picture of him behind me. So that's like my dad, right? If he doesn't hear from me in like a couple of weeks, I get phone calls, and my mom would definitely get a message. I will like, what am I? What am I like? So yeah. So those people play the role of, friends, big brothers, fathers, and academic advisors. And yeah, I and every single step I take in my academic journey, it's because one of them pushed me. And what they often push me to do, like I do by myself right now, is to seek opportunities around the US in terms of conferences I can go to talk with people. When we attend conferences, they introduce me to people, and I'm like, I'm standing there being my house girl, shy person. And as you go to such places, you kind of build a network of people, like your people. And these are people that are higher in the ranks, like academic ranks, that would talk to you. And as the keynote speaker said something about the not only role models, the people that would like stand by you, right? I kind of identify those people, and even in the workplace, and such people are, yeah, they are key, right? So they are like, I wouldn't be where I'm at without them.
That is true. And I think that's why we are very lucky in this time to have, mentorship groups like the Gamji Forum. There are many sessions like this where people learn from you and from quite a number of people, mentees becoming mentors and the rest of it. So I encourage people to take use of opportunities like this, videos, recording, joining sessions to learn from people, hear their stories behind their struggles and how they are able to make it to this stage. It's really a pleasure and an honor to have all of you here to inspire others, to make them understand that they can do it, and to take advantage of networking and any mentorship opportunity. Thank you very much, Dr. Ruqayyah. That was really, really a positive insight. Thank you. I think we get back to I don't know. Should I go to Khadijah? I think I should go back to beginning to where we started. I had wanted to ask Khadijah if you are happy to answer this question. How can women make use of their scholarship opportunities to uplift others? The assumption or the expectation is that the benefit should not just be concentrated in our personal growth, but should be used to uplift others. So, how do you think women can utilize their scholarship opportunities to uplift others? I know we've discussed this in the beginning. The professors have spoken about even advising somebody to go to school is something, you're making a positive impact on that person. But what else in what other way do you think we can utilize our scholarships to uplift others?
Thank you very much. I think for me, the thing is, it depends on the person. So there are individuals who are, very much of a social being, that aside from the fact that, okay, they have this opportunity and they intend to impact on the community, some just like to lay low key and just, focus on their lives. But there are others, they just want to see people thrive. So there is this like a mantra that our mentorship platform at the time, they used to say, is like, till we all win, like we're all a work in progress. So it's not just about you, and it's about, no matter how little you're able to impact, it could be in your closest circle. For example, myself, me getting the opportunity I got, I want to also see my friends get those opportunities. I want to see people in, my community get this. I want to see every other woman get this opportunity because as Professor Aisha mentioned, like when you get a scholarship opportunity, it's not just about the funding, it's a key to opening so many opportunities out there. So for a woman especially, yes, it's an educational achievement to get scholarship, but it's beyond that. If we see it as, a stepping stone, it's a stepping stone to so much potential out there. So just by, of course, by just being yourself, number one, being yourself, being authentic as you are, when people see who you are, they want to also thrive in that part. So that itself is one. So you being authentic as you are is one. And then so also mentorship cannot just be like, you have to pull in people and you have to guide them. No, it's also just, making people be self-sufficient. When it comes to like, okay, these scholarships, some people think like, oh, you have to like sit them down and teach them this is how you have to do this and this and this, but it doesn't work that way. For you to be able to get a scholarship, you have to be dogged in the sense that like it's do it yourself. You have to put in the work. You have to sometimes, like I remember me getting my scholarship, yes, my master's was like the luckiest thing I've ever done in my life. I just finished service. I remember when immediately I finished my undergraduate, my uncle at the time mentioned like, oh, why not apply for PTDF? But at the time when I checked, they said, oh, you require NYSC. And then at the time, I didn't have NYSC. So, but it was something that was stuck in my head. Like, okay, maybe if I have my NYSC certificate, let me apply for this thing. And then eventually, immediately I finished the service, the PTDF application was out and I applied because I already had it in me, like, okay, this is it. So if there's a difference between you people and people eventually like wanting it for themselves. You could dream for them, but because they don't see what you're dreaming for them, they just have to see it. Like they just have to see it. So I personally like advocate for DIY. There's so many information out there, whether it's US, whether it's Australia, whether it's Asia, whether even Nigeria. But people will tell you they don't sit down to filter this thing. We don't do due diligence. So I could speak maybe from today till tomorrow, but the person who intends to do this has to sit down for themselves, think of what they want to do, in the short term and long term, and then apply it. So, I would say like it's always good to have mentors because one, mentors are people that have been in that space. They have experienced what you are going into. I always say, yes, it's good to have mentors, people that you look up to. I always look up to the women in this space that are talking right now are people we look up to because, like they have thrived in their field. And we also want to, do the same. They don't even know that they're actually impacting on people, but because they are doing what they're doing and they're so good in it, we're just looking up to them. So that itself, like, is part of mentorship. And they don't even know that they are actually impacting on people. But yeah, like that's just, my part. So yeah, let me just summarize. DIY. That's what I advocate for. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to people. These days, LinkedIn has made everything so much easy. You could, be very much presentable in what you want to do and reach out to whoever it is. And these people are always with their hands open to, give you advice and help you out whichever way possible. So yeah, thank you very much. And
Thank you very much, Khadija. I like how you emphasized on the do it yourself because some audience may not have understood what the abbreviation means, but it means do it yourself. In the search for scholarship, what I always tell people is no one can do it for you. You have to do it yourself because you know yourself better than anyone. Like no one can write your CV. No one can write your statement of purpose. No one can understand the right the correct or the right or the appropriate position that you need for your master's, for your bachelor's, or for your PhD. You know yourself better. You know your capabilities. You know your strength, your weaknesses. You know what to write about yourself. You know your project. You know what you did. You know your skills. So that's why it's the journey is yours. Of course, you need mentors. We all need mentors. I still go to Gamji Forum for mentorship. I still do doing my PhD, but I always contact Dr. Buhari, for instance, Dr. Sali, who is also part of the people, Dr. Umar in UK. There are many of them, many of them. In fact, two Umars in the UK that I contact. I'm stuck here. I'm doing this. Could you please put me through this? They have to, and people have to understand that you are doing your best. You just need a little push. Not that you are expecting them to like do everything for you from the start. It discourages the mentors. It tells them that you are not ready to start the journey. For instance, one way to show that you are really ready to start the scholarship journey is find a CB format. I'm pretty sure Gamji has more than enough resources for on scholarship application. Find those, sit down and watch them. Find out how to write CV, how to write SOP. Contact them via email. Hi, Gamji members. I have written my CV and I've written my statement of purpose, but this is my area of expertise and I really need someone to please maybe read the SOP or read the CV or advise me on this or that. I mean, they understand that, okay, you've made your own efforts, you've done what you can, but you just need a little push from them rather than just, please, how can you guide me on applying for scholarship in Australia? Then they understand that there is so much information out there. You can Google it, you can search and get the information yourself. There are basic things that you need to do yourself. And with that, I think I'll go straight to Surayya if she's still here with us. And the question I have, although Khadija has said so much about doing it yourself in the search for scholarship, but the question I have for Surayya is, if you have one single advice for a person looking for scholarship, what would that advice be? Just a single golden advice for especially young women searching for scholarship. But given that our audience are like both male and female, so what's one golden advice for a person interested in seeking for a scholarship?
Never give up. Thank you once again. Hello. One golden advice is that never give up. Pursue your dream with strength. Never give up. If you keep pursuing, one day will arrive with. Hello. My network is kind of glitching sometimes because I'm using a VPN, so it's not very stable. So, like I said earlier, one golden advice I would like to give the young my fellow students here is that whenever you are applying for scholarship and you are not able to succeed, never give up. Don't give up. Keep searching. Keep applying. Keep pursuing. one day you will get it.
Thank you very much, Surayya. And I believe consistency, resilience, and patience are key in the search for scholarships. And then definitely one day you make it
Exactly.
there. I think I will pass the same question on to Ruqayyah. One golden advice for people seeking scholarship. I'm pretty sure you would have one golden advice for people seeking scholarship as well.
Yeah, so I think I don't want to be cliche, but I will be that I would want to tell you to pray because yeah, that's what I want to say. I'm not a talker. I like choose my people very well, but what I found that I can sit in my little tiny corner every day, and not when I pray 5 times a day, but I can talk to God directly, right? And
Indeed.
that was what helped me, like against everything that was around me, to stick to what I was pursuing. Because if it wasn't for the fact that I was praying, I would think, oh, why is everyone not in my corner, right? But the fact that I was
Indeed.
being successful, it was telling me that, oh, I'm doing something right and God is on my
Indeed.
side. And I think maybe I'll do one more and say another thing, to do what you can where you are with what you have. Like it's, I've seen people go into a corner and perish, right? Because they just want to go. Like, why do you want to go somewhere? What is your purpose in life? So
Indeed.
while you are waiting, do something. Serve
Indeed.
your community, do some volunteer work. Work in the local primary school for for a few, dollars. Okay. So yeah, do something while you're waiting and pray.
Thank you very much. This is another completely different aspect. Do something while waiting for the scholarship to come, and prayer is definitely the key. Without it, I do not think anything would work. You put in the effort and then pray as much as you put in effort into getting whatever it is, including scholarships. Thank you very much for the members of the panel. We are deeply grateful that you all were able to make it to this session today and for sparing your time to inspire others in this very important journey towards getting a scholarship. And with this, I think we would jump straight into the next Spotlight 10 minutes talk. And first on the list is our keynote speaker, Professor Aisha Ali-Gombe, who is going to give us 10 minutes spotlight talk on women, scholarships, and opportunities so that we have a recap, especially for people that joined much later after the program has started. So, Professor Aisha, if you are here, the mic is all yours for the 10 minutes spotlight talk on women scholarships and opportunities.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So I think a lot have been said, and instead of taking that whole 10 minutes, I would like this to be more of a kind of a discussion. And I'm sure like the people listening have lots of questions they would like to ask, and maybe something very specific and something that we haven't really touched. But I kind of wanted to touch on a couple of things which I felt were very, very important, especially, given that my memory is aging, so I tend to only remember things that I've said in the last, 2, 3 minutes. So I will probably recap on some of what Ruqayyah mentioned. See, a lot of us, the thing about, being from Nigeria, and like this is a forum of Nigerians, and like we know ourselves, and a lot of us come from deeply religious families. So I really agree with Ruqayyah, like if you can find a way to connect with your creator, in making those decisions that are in front of you, it's always like super beneficial. Like I cannot over emphasize that because it's very, very important. It's very fundamental. It's something that I find a lot of the times, like, I don't even know how to explain like what I want, things that I want to pursue, even to my husband, who is like really a great friend. But it's easy for me to go in the middle of the night, make a sujood and communicate with my creator and say, this is what I have in mind, but like, I'm giving all of that decision to you and allow you to chart on my course and like, make it easy for me. Make, whatever is beneficial for me, like, make it happen. I'm a huge fan of istikhara, and so I don't want to make this like really a preaching session, but I just, because Ruqayyah kind of mentioned that, I really want to deeply emphasize on it. And again, because I think we're in a very spatial place where we understand each other as Nigerians, and like, a connection with God is a very, very important thing for a lot of us, in our families. Now, having said that, whenever you seek to do something, please have a purpose in mind. Why are you doing it? Why do you want to do it? Are you applying for scholarship because everyone is applying? Are you going to grad school because everyone is going to grad school? Are you doing this and that because everyone is doing, or it's really what you want, truly want to, what you want to pursue, what you want to do? Because there's a huge difference. If you do something because of someone, you're not, I mean, you could get it, you might even shine, but you're not going to be content. You're not going to be happy with yourself. But if you do something because you truly want to do it, because you're passionate about it, you're going to be happy and you're going to be content, even if you don't be in the spotlight. I tell you that I've always, from university, I love to do like little tutorials for my friends, like especially in math, where like, sometimes we have really sorry for the math professor here. I know that somebody's a math professor, but I think Ruqayyah is a math professor, right? So some of the math professors are kind of mean, right? And so some of my friends in Guagualada will skip classes and they'll be like, Aisha, can you please do a tutorial for us? And I like it, but they're my close-knit friends, and it's easy for me to go in front of the class. We're just kind of having banter and talking and laughing, and I will redo the same thing like the professors do. And I started realizing that I really love the idea of teaching. I really love the idea of like impacting knowledge, not necessarily like standing in front of like strangers, but like I just love to teach content. And so gradually, when I graduated, I didn't get the job immediately, but I know that that is really who I am, and that is where I will excel. When I did the job I did before I moved to academia, I was successful in it. I grew. I was the head of my unit. It was completely different from like what I believe I have the passion for. But when I decided to make the career change, I went to something that I truly believe I am excited about, and that will give me that content. And it's true that sometimes, you may be privileged to be able to make that change. And I mean, life circumstances happen. I'm not telling everybody to do that. Sometimes necessities happen. I mean, when I took the first initial job, it was like there was a necessity for me to take the job. Like I needed a job, right? I'm just starting my life. My husband was a young person as well. We're just starting. So probably we need that change. But after a while, like I feel like I don't want to be stuck in there forever. And I took that risk and I made that career change. So just to kind of reiterate, have that purpose. And when you apply, and I, got somebody talking about SOP on the chat, and also like Dr. Zainab, Zainab also mentioned something about SOPs and like, applying for funding and stuff like that. Whenever you write in those kind of statements, let the ideas come from your heart. See, because I tell my students, you're the only expert of yourself. Like you know yourself, you know your mind, you know your heart, you know your expertise, you know your experiences. You're the only one that can write your own story. Nobody writes your story. And whenever universities review those statement of purpose, they're reviewing them to understand you, because those statements stand for you while you're not there. They don't know you. They've never seen you. They're reading about you through those statements. So it's important that you explain yourself. You come across as somebody that is passionate in choosing something or in pursuing something, right? And that is carried very well within your statement of purpose. And but sometimes you see, people asking ChatGPT to generate something. It's usually, it lacks depth. It lacks, that personalization. It lacks that connection. Or, you ask somebody, for instance, I'm just going to say this. I'm in computer science. I do cybersecurity. I'm just, doing my small niche research work. And then somebody asked me, can you review my SOP in some different area, let's say linguistics or something? I'm not a professor of linguistics. I have no idea what to look for in that, right? You know this more than me. I could probably edit it for language, right? I can probably review it for things like, okay, maybe, put an introduction here, but that is just like generate panel bitten. It's really not the crux of the matter. The crux of the matter is like, you have to be able to connect to people reading the statement through that particular paper, because they don't know you. And something that I kind of wanted to mention, because we're talking about scholarship, I'm not a recipient of I didn't come to the US through scholarship. Actually, when I came to the US, everything was random. It wasn't planned. Like I was like, so scholarship was not even anything that I've applied for. My husband got a scholarship, by the way. Well, like he did his own thing to his friends and whatnot and got a scholarship. And that's how I ended up in the US, because, hobby wants somebody to cook for him. But anyway, and so when I came, I was a self-funded student for 1 year, and like, don't ask me how we self-fund, like, because we had to all sell everything that we own. But when I came, I realized that there is something we usually don't pursue, which is assistantship. In a lot of, especially US that I know, there's a lot of graduate assistantship that are not scholarship, and they're two different things. Scholarship is when you're given money free, right? Based on some characteristic or merit that you're given this award. There is no expectation of you putting some work in exchange for that money. Okay, so you're not working. They give you the money because you've earned that scholarship, or based on some criteria, you've been approved for that scholarship. Now you may or may not put in anything. You just get the money, get the stipend, get the tuition, get whatever the scholarship entails. And the only thing they expect that you keep a certain academic expectation, and then you might be able to get your scholarship every semester. That's a scholarship. Assistantship, though, is you work for someone in exchange for payment, right? So a lot of the US university has what we call graduate assistantship. And with graduate assistantship, you usually apply to there are different categories. We have the teaching assistants, we have the research assistants, we have the service assistants, and some other assistants. You apply either to the unit, to the professor, to the department, right? If they have funding, which in the US, there's always that kind of stream of funding that goes into the different assistantship, depending on like what kind of the funding source. So you get that assistantship through, those means. Now, let me tell you something, because I have employed a lot of graduate assistants over the last, few years, 8 years that I've been a faculty. I've employed currently I have about 7 PhD students working for me. And previously, I've had about 3 PhDs when I was at Towson. And my graduate assistant, my students, almost all of them come through like research assistants, and so some few come through teaching assistants. For research assistant, a professor will not hire you if you don't have the capacity to do the work, period. It's not about who you know, it's about I have money meant for a particular project that I cannot even buy myself a cup of coffee, right? I have to pay a student to do the work with that money. And because of an expectation from me at the end of the project to have a deliverable, so I can only give that money to students that will give me that deliverable. So it's competitive, but because the pool is not as big as scholarship competition, there is a lot of chance, but you have to make either the professor or the department believe that you can do the job. It's like, when you write an email to the professor, when you write, in your statement of purpose looking for, that graduate assistantship, you have to show that you're capable. It's like you're writing a job, cover letter or something like that, right? Because they will hire you based on your capacity to be able to do that job. So when you're looking for opportunities of funding, especially for graduate program, especially that I know in the US, always think about assistantship. When you're looking for assistantship, look into the department, look into the availability of assistantship, look into the professors. The way to find professors that have funding is when you look at their research record. If they have new research, sometimes they mention their funding in their web pages, so you see that they have newer fundings, and make sure that your work, your previous work, your experience connect to their work. And I will tell you something that I find to be mostly common, not necessarily, it's not like 100%, but it's kind of sort of common. I've hired across the rim, but in the US, you know that you can go to, you can start a PhD without a master's. Like that is normal. But if you're applying for graduate assistantship, you have a better chance if you have a master's, because I will look at somebody with a master's with a couple of publication in the area that I'm interested in when I'm seeking for GAs, when I'm seeking for research assistants. Then I will look at somebody without those qualifications. Now, if you don't have a master's degree, you don't have any publication, it means that, okay, I have to babysit you a little bit to get you to the place where you can kind of work on the project. So it means I will be looking for things like strong GRE, strong TOEFL, things like that. And, I want to see that, let's say, in my field that, okay, you've done some kind of community work as a hacker. You've done some, maybe bug hunting and stuff like that, or, you've done some additional certification. So that way I can say that, okay, you have some more experiences beyond just a bachelor's degree. See, everybody today has a bachelor's degree. Everybody has a 2-1. Everybody has, a lot of first class. So those are not differentiators. You have to find some other things to, make yourself different. So I'll probably, again, I'm a teacher. I can talk for 1 hour. I said that I wasn't going to talk. I want to make this open, but I ended up talking for 10 minutes. And so Zainab, back to you.
Thank you very much, Professor Aisha. Jazakillah khairan. This is really, really positive insight. We have learned a lot that apart from scholarships, consider research and teaching assistantship also, but make sure that your research interests and skills tally with that of the professor or faculty member that you are applying to. Because for those positions, we understand that they are looking out for people that could do the work for them, so that at the end of the project, there are outcome for such ideas. Thank you very much, Professor Aisha. We are deeply grateful for this insight into how to get a scholarship in the US, as well as research assistantship and teaching assistantship as well. Next on the line, we are getting back to Professor Aisha, your namesake, who is going to also give a recap or 10-minute spotlight discussion with different angle on mentorship, networking, and leadership. Before we open the floor for questions for the audience today. So, Professor Aisha, if you are with us.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum. I'm happy to be back, and Alhamdulillah, it has been a very engaging session, and I'm sure a lot of us have learned a lot of things, which personally I would use that to pass on to my mentees, my students, and so on and so forth. It all boils down to what all of us have summarized: a personal ability to do the work. You should make up your mind. If you want to go, especially for the academics, there are so many challenges, so many barriers for you. You will be broken, but you need to mend. You will go down, but you need to get up, because nobody is yourself. You have resilience. As a northern woman, you are work, and when we do it excellently well. I'm sure this is just the starting for us, our other sisters who are doing it, who are planning to do it, and we are ambassadors of the northern women. We empower them, we make them resilient. Wherever we find ourselves, let us do the needful. But all in all, as part of government, as part of policy making, we need to understand we have to come back to the grassroots. As I've earlier said, 50% of over 20 million out of school children in Nigeria are girls. Almost all the almajiris we have are in the north. So apart from being women, we have to be mothers. We have to adopt. We need to adopt a child to take to school. If we do not take that child to the school, we'll not have candidates for these scholarships we're looking for. So as a government, as a policy maker, as a mother, as a sister, as a daughter, I call on all of us here today to make up our minds, to make sure that we adopt girls that we take to school. Taking a child to primary school is not something. It doesn't, the costed plan is 10,000 naira, uniform, school bag, instructional materials, and so on and so forth. So we need to come back to the grassroots. Gombe is a small state. We are less than 4 million, but as I talk to you now, we have over 700,000 out of school children. Yes, we have that. So what do we do to them? As academics, as mothers, as sisters, will we continue seeing them roaming the streets, becoming a security threat? Or will we make use of them in the best way so that the scholarships we are looking for today will be a place for us to thrive in the future because we have changed the lives of these girls. On a final note, I thank the organizers of this for finding me worthy to share my experience, especially as for the past 6 years I've been a teacher, I have been a mother, I have been a daughter. I have seen it all. I have been a commissioner for science, technology, and innovation. I have seen how 50,000 naira has changed a woman's life. I have seen how 10,000 naira has changed a woman's life and her children, and so on and so forth. So we need to make a decisive intention. We need to make decisive and workable plans for the future of the North. And the future of the North lies with the educated and empowered Northern woman. The scholarships are opportunities for us for global opportunities, but think locally, act globally, and still move from the grassroots upwards. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Commissioner. We are deeply grateful for this recap, giving back to the society. This is very important. And thank you very much for finding it worthy also to be part of this session today. We are deeply grateful. And I think at this point, it's time to open the floor for a few questions because we are running out of time a little bit. So we plan to collect some of the questions in the chat box and assign them to members of the panel or even speakers so that some of the questions that you have that have already been typed and can also be read out to the speakers or the panelists, and then you get answers for them. I would encourage that because we are running out of time, other inquiries or questions that you may have could be sent directly to Gamji Forum, maybe via LinkedIn, Facebook, or even our website. I think I would encourage through the website. There are details there on how to contact the mentors there. So I don't know if we have questions, Dr. Bahari, that we have not answered from the chat box. I'm trying to see if I think we've answered most of them, but if there are new. I have not seen any new question here. Please, if there is any question for the speakers or for the panelists, could the audience please put it down in the chat box so that they could be read out to them? Otherwise, if there are specific ones that you feel should be sent to the forum instead, then that's also another option. I don't know who I would direct this question to, but what we have here is the first one is, what would you advise a candidate who is seeking distance learning opportunities? Are there such for PhDs? I don't know if any member from the
I think
panel who's from the speakers.
I could answer this.
Sure.
Normally, most of the scholarships you have are usually on-site, but there is like a program which is currently sponsored by Commonwealth, which is more like a distance learning program, or they call it a split site. So, for example, you do one part in your home country, and then the other part, maybe the last year of your research, then you go to the UK to one of the universities to do that. And then just as I mentioned, the split side, I think there is another one in Hong Kong or China. I can't really remember the name of the scholarship, but it's also a split site, which most of them, it requires you to, be on site. So it's either you're doing one part in your home country and then the other in the host country, something like that. But most online distance learning scholarships are centered around masters, and that is only in selected, programs. So yeah, that's what I have to say.
For this, I am pretty sure the person who sent this question must have had the right response to that. And in the chat box, there is an email for anyone who wants to send a question directly to Gamji.
I'd like
There
to add
is
more to what Doctor have said regarding the distance learning in China. Actually, what is here is a kind of hi-fi program. It's a kind of program where you have your own proposal, you have your own work, and then you come and do your research, your proposal. And when it is accepted, you'll give you a fund, and then you spend kind of half here in China and half there in your country. It's a kind of a postdoc program.
I think someone there is also a question about how to get mentorship. And there is an email there that everyone who has any other specific question could just contact the Gamji forum via the email that has been sent in the chat box. And there is another question from Zainab here, and the question is, I don't know who is interested in answering this. And it is, how do one handle rejection after maybe scholarship application? That's the question. How do you handle rejections? I'm pretty sure we all must have experienced rejections. So
Can I
how
say
do
something?
we
Can
all
I say
had that?
something on this question?
Yes, you can. You can. Go
I
ahead.
think if you are part of, I think if you are a person that always applies for scholarship, definitely you must have face a rejection one or more than 2 times, more than 3 times, multiple times. So I think you just have to be patient enough to apply more and pray also. So inshallah, one day we get to it.
And I
Is there
also want
any
to
more
say,
contribution
allow
from
yourself
Dr.
to
Ruqayyah?
feel bad. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, so allow yourself to feel bad, right? It's bad to be rejected. One thing I do when I meet Nigerians in conferences, for every single semester I was in the US, there is always Nigerians, new Nigerians coming in as like new graduate students. And there's never anyone from Kano, never anyone speaking Hausa. And I often ask them, how did you get here, right? And a lot of them would have applied to like a million places. And one person told me one day that he got a love letter that morning. And I said, what is that? And he said it was a rejection because of how many he has seen. He sees them as love letters because they allow him to prepare for the next step. It's not stopping him, but it's allowing, like he allows himself to feel bad, like for something he wanted and he didn't get, and then prepare for what's coming next.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ruqayyah. Yeah, that's the common name to give rejection letters, love letters. I know that they are called love letters because you see a lot of them coming in. Sorry, you are not being selected. Sorry, we've moved on with other applications. But then the right one comes to you with perseverance, and just like Surayya has mentioned that sometimes it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality. It's not about sending trooping applications for any position you see in your field. Sit down and understand what the requirements are. See how your CV matches with that position before you apply. It's one strategy to reduce the number of love letters you receive. Obviously, everyone receives it. Well, there are people who are lucky to get a scholarship in their first application. Very rare. I have not met anyone yet, but there could be. So yeah. People like Khadijah must have won a PTDF scholarship first application. So it happens. Yeah, but just get ready for the rejections and then prepare your mind that one day you end up getting it
Um,
anyways.
well, it would surprise you to know that, funny enough, my master's, like I said, was the
Yep.
luckiest thing I ever got.
Yep.
But my PhD, I had to try, I put in, honestly, because at the time I had a mentor who told
Yep.
me, like, oh, for every application, make an Excel. So what I did at the time was I had an Excel sheet
Mhm.
with, all the opportunities, Commonwealth, Chevening, everything. I tried PTDF twice for my
Mhm.
PhD.
Mhm.
So I tried the first time, I thought, oh, I'm already a scholar, so it should be easy. But I got the shock of my life when I tried and I didn't get it the first time. So trust me, like we all have received rejections one way or the other, but it sometimes you even wear it like a badge of, courage and confidence, and yeah, you just move on. That one yes will come. And when that one yes comes, like
You
it
forget
erases
all the rejections. You forget all the pains of the rejections. We are taking last two questions for the day, and all other ones would go to the Gamji email. I think the first one we have here, which anyone from the panelists or from the speakers could answer to this, is what are the key points to note when sending emails to professors? What are the things that a person should consider when sending an email to a professor asking, my name is Zainab and I would like to join your lab. So, what are the things I should tell that professor about myself? Anyone can take this question, it's open.
I think our
I
professors
think
should answer.
okay. Okay.
Okay, now
You can
we
answer
get back
it.
onto
Okay.
Professor Aisha. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
All
Professor
right.
Aisha, I am applying to your lab for a PhD in cybersecurity. So, I want to understand what you want to see in that email.
All right. I actually do receive like on average maybe like 20 to 30, depending on the season, emails every week.
Yeah,
And I can reply to all of them.
I know.
Absolutely. And these are just email from random people across the globe who just like, I'm looking for assistantship in your lab. I want to work with you and whatnot. The thing is, like, I'm looking for that connection. I'm looking for somebody that truly wants to work for me. It's not that that person is emailing the 20 other professors in the department, right? You'll immediately see, like, you can detect a generic email. So if your email is not really personalized and you're not emailing me, you're generating a generic email with like kind of highlighting my paper, knowing that, okay, that same email is sending it to another professor and removing that highlighted, paper with another professor's, I immediately see it. I'm not looking for something really long, but make a connection. Genuinely, you're interested in what I do, and you're showing me that interest based on what you have, right? So that's kind of what I'm looking for. Now, the truth also is, if I don't have funding, I don't look at the emails, right? Because even if I look at the emails, I can reply you to start explaining to you I don't have money and whatnot. Like, because if there's no money, you cannot hire a student, right? But if I have the money, when I looked at the email, I'm looking for that student that is standing, there's differentiating him or herself from the other pile of students because they're genuinely interested in what I do. And the thing is, like, I keep going back to interest to, like, have that genuine interest in pursuing something because the journey in grad school is extremely tough. And if you don't have that genuine interest, like you start, and then at the end of the day, you'll be like, no, I don't want to work with you. Like, honest, like I've had students that wasted my funding for 2 years and just blew it away and left because they're like, they were not genuinely interested in what I do. So you have to know what I do. And like when I look at your email, I know either you know what I do or you just read one of my papers. Like I can immediately be able to see that. So when you email a professor looking for funding, really make sure that you come across as somebody that have understood the kind of research that they do in the lab. You're genuinely interested. You align your expertise and experiences with what they do. And you don't have to write an entire article and epistle for that. Something short and concrete and precise. And, you can attach your resume. And, you feel free to also, like, send a reminder if they didn't reply. Send another reminder if they didn't reply, right? That shows tenacity. That shows that you're genuinely interested, right? Maybe the first time something happened, they couldn't reply, they couldn't read your email because they have 100 other emails to read. You send another reminder to be like, oh, yeah, I think I saw this email. They send another reminder to be like, okay, let me look at this student. Maybe there is something, right? And then, you might get a reply. But for me, those are the things that I look for.
Thank you very much, Professor Aisha. So everyone must have heard what she said. Avoid sending generic emails to professors. Just let me just edit this one and send it to them. Send 20 of them. They actually can tell that, oh, this person is not interested. It's just finding somewhere to, lodge themselves in. So make sure you are able to connect to professors that you are writing to. Make sure you
Did I tell
understand their
you
research interest.
something funny? And honestly, like I will say this is happening a lot with our Nigerians that they apply to multiple universities. And because I mean, we're a very, very big group and like we have a very kind of different names. And so like whenever we see Nigerian names, we sort of kind of know this is coming from Nigeria. And sometimes I see, some of our faculty kind of tend to talk about this. You will see that because of that generic email you're sending like to all the 20 professors in the same department, sometimes the students even make the mistake of addressing professor something something and send it to professor something something or put in somebody else's paper on somebody else's email. And then it's like, okay, then they'll follow up with an, oh, sorry, now this is the correct name. Like that is a no. And like, I mean, we've seen so many of this, like so many. And that's because you're writing a generic email. That's why you're just editing. You're not really writing, crafting this email for that particular person. Yeah.
Unfortunately, nobody wants to recruit a lazy person. I mean, if you can't take your time to, research to understand what the professor or what the faculty member is doing their project about, how can they trust that when you come, you can stand the pressure, and struggles of staying in the graduate school? You are telling them you can't do it. Nobody wants to give a scholarship to someone who is lazy. It's more like a give and take. You give in so much of your efforts in the beginning and they give you something back as a scholarship, and then you can be able to retain that when you start the graduate school. So it requires a lot of commitment, and I'm pretty sure people have been enlightened on how best to do these things. Thank you very much, Professor Aisha. We are deeply grateful. I think the last question we are taking for today, which can be answered by any person, is how can an applicant understand the areas that they need to improve on after getting rejection? I think this is very important for the audience to understand, or maybe to get response about. Is there anybody who is interested in answering this? For instance, I, Zainab, apply for scholarship, sorry, for opposition, and then there is a rejection. How can I know the areas that need improvement? Because those are not contained in the email about the decisions. So how can I know the areas that need improvement? Is anyone from the panel or from the speakers happy to? Anyone can answer that. It's the last one. I
Yes, I'd
promise.
like
It's the
to
last
say
question.
just few okay, I'd like to say just few words. Like for example, I would like to use my field as an example. So in molecular biology or whatever molecular aspect of research, so whenever you are applying in this kind of field, you must have a skill. It's a must. You must have a skill in terms of all the molecular research, even if it's like maybe some basics, kind of PCR, qPCR, all those kind of basic research in molecular biology. You have to have them. You don't have them, definitely you have a rejection, because there is no way you will come to the lab and then the professor will have to coaching you instead of you standing on your own to make your research, and then you cannot do, and then at the end you will not be beneficial to the group. So at least we need to have skills before applying in this kind of field. So this is just what I want to add up. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can
Or
hear
did you
you.
understand what I said?
Yes, we do. We do. Surayya, thank you very much.
Okay, thank
I
you.
think what you
Okay,
mentioned is
thank you.
make sure that your skill matches with the positions you are applying for, especially in
Exactly. Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
field you're applying to. You have to ensure that your
Yeah,
statement
you
of
need to have
purpose or whatever you're
skills in
writing,
that field.
yep, indicate that you have
Mm-hmm.
skills for that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I think Khadijah has something to say about after I get a rejection. How do you improve the CV, the SOP before you send in the next application?
So what I just wanted to point out is sometimes we actually get rejections not because you're incompetent or, like maybe your application was not over, top
Mhm,
notch, but because there's competition. You're not just competing with yourself, you're competing with very much high ranked individuals, in terms of capacity, right? So if you get a rejection, um, you sit back and
mhm,
see. Sometimes you it's even funny enough to actually realize that you could put in an application with the same documents
mhm,
across, different programs.
mhm,
Five will reject you, and one with that same document will accept you. So sometimes it might not be that it's the documents. It's just that the competition is so high that sometimes we talk about grace, like Dr. Ruqayyah also mentioned prayer, right? There are some things that you can't just explain it. Like you think you were meant to get this thing, but it's not just time for you to get it. So what I just wanted to point out is before you make any application, yeah, Dr. Zainab also mentioned it, that do your due diligence. Make sure that the documents you are sending in are the appropriate documents. They are documents that match the requirement of that scholarship. So you know that you're not lacking on that end. Whether it comes to your academic CV, whether it's your SOP, whether it's your proposal, because some will ask you for your proposal. Make sure that if you are, maybe you are applying for PhD, your proposal matches the interest of that scholarship program. Don't just, especially now in the era of ChatGPT and whatever, people just want to copy and paste, and you won't do your own, due diligence, and that's it. So I honestly just think there's timing, and then there is your own due diligence. But the rejections, don't put it to heart, because they always come. Because you might think you're the best, but there's someone way better than you. So you're not just competing with yourself, but you're competing with other people. So yeah, at the end of the day, it's just to just, as they all mentioned, what is your purpose? If the purpose of you searching for this opportunity is to change your life, to impact on people, even if you get that rejection, it wouldn't bother you, because you have where you're targeting at, where you're heading to. So it would not disturb you at all, because like I said, the rejections will come. And that's, yeah, like you just dust the documents again, and yeah, we apply to every other scholarship until you get that one. Yes, it's just one you need. So yeah, and I wish all of us the very best, and thank you very much for inviting us, Gamji Educational Forum. What you're doing is actually very impactful, and yeah, I hope I have personally learned a lot from everyone here. So yeah, I hope everyone is also getting away with some gems, inshallah. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Khadijah. That's really, really nice. Thank you very much. Yes, the rejection come. Do not take them to heart. Just dust up your documents and start over again. Take a little break. Usually, what I recommend is when you get rejections, take a little break from application and get back again. Get back to work after you rest. Thank you very much. I would encourage everyone to refer any inquiry or any question to Gamji via the email address that is sent there via the chat box. And at this point, I would like to hand over the mic to Dr. Mariam, who is going to give us closer remarks for today's event. Dr. Mariam, if you're ready, the mic is all yours. Closer remarks by Dr. Mariam, who is the host for today.
Thank you very much. So can you see me?
We can see you.
As we bring this webinar to a close, it is my pleasure to extend our heartfelt appreciation to each and every one of us for our time, commitment, and active engagement throughout today's session. To our guest of honor, distinguished keynote speaker and panelists, We're deeply grateful for your presence. And words of inspiration which have added great value to this event. We sincerely thank you for sharing your knowledge tips. Likewise, we commend our participants for their thoughtful, provoking contributions and eagerness to learn. This gathering has not only highlighted the opportunities available through scholarships, but has also emphasized the resilience, determination, and excellence of women who continue to break barriers and transcend in the pursuit of knowledge. It is our conviction that the knowledge gained here will empower many to take confident steps toward academic advancement, global opportunities, and personal growth. We truly appreciate the moderator for steering today's session so well. On behalf of the organizing committee, I thank you once again for joining us, and we look forward to further collaborations in the shared vision of promoting education, empowerment, and excellence among women. Thank you all, and may we thrive safely with renewed inspiration and purpose. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mariam. We are deeply grateful for the closing remark and for your presence throughout this webinar. I also want to say the same thing, that we are very grateful to the Commissioner of Education for Gombe State, Professor Aisha, as well as Professor Aisha Ali-Gombe, and all the members from the panel discussion team. Khadijah, we are very grateful that you stayed all until the end of this webinar. Ruqayyah, we are very, Dr. Ruqayyah, I'm also very deeply grateful. I don't know if Surayya is also here with us. I want to say a very big thank you on behalf of myself and the Gamji Forum. And there is an announcement for the audience, which is there is going to be an in-person summit, which is going to be in Bayero University, Kano. And the date is, I think I want to confirm if it's 18th October. That is next month. Yes, 18th October 2025 at Bayero University, Kano. There is going to be an upcoming Gamji Mentorship Summit where you will meet most of the mentors in person. So I encourage everyone to look out for official announcement, which will be there on our social media pages on LinkedIn, Facebook, and also look out for recording for this webinar on YouTube in the coming days. And an announcement will also be made on Facebook and LinkedIn when the video recording for this session is ready. I want to thank everyone for sticking around until the end of this seminar. Look out for the announcement for the summit, which is going to be in Buke, 18th October 2025, next month. And one more time, I'm grateful to all of the speakers, members of the panel. And with this, we come to the end of this seminar, and I encourage everyone to send any other inquiry to the email address that has been written in the chat box to Gamji, and you would get a response. Thank you very much, everyone. And Dr. Bahari, if there is any other thing, we can announce it. Otherwise, we should say thank you very much for joining, and we look forward to having you when next there is an announcement for webinar. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Professors Aisha, namesakes. Thanks, Dr. Ruqayyah. Thanks, Mariam. Thanks, Surayya.